you're watching the marketplace. We want to turn to tech stuff. A lot happening in the tech space. Tech company Twitter has fired nearly all its staff in Ghana more than a week after billionaire Elon Musk took over the company. A source told the BBC that only one person was left in the almost two-member team. Quote, the company is reorganizing its operations as a result of a need to reduce costs, read the email to staff from Fidelma Callaghan, Director People Services. Mr. Musk promised to make big changes at Twitter, including laying off workers worldwide. The employment termination emails were sent to the Ghana employees' personal accounts, having been denied access to their work ones. Joining us at Marketplace Tech Pundit, Henry Kobler, also lead for Eyes of Africa. Appreciate your time with us, Henry. So this is an anticlimax, sort of. I remember a year ago, we were celebrating the opening of the Twitter office here in Ghana. Looks like the members, the staff here, have been affected by the job cuts. Your reaction?
Thank you very much, Daryl. So I think that it was a bit of celebration, which I called into question a bit of exactly what that office is really going to offer. Because I felt that at the point it looked like it was just one of the favors that was just being done to Africans by these tech giants. And again, I called into question what the offices such as Google would have had such impact in our tech ecosystem as Africans. And so for me, this really does not come to me as a surprise, because generally, I think that we've spoken about the great resignation that's sort of coming through with the tech systems. It had been long coming through, looking at what was happening with Netflix, even with Facebook and all of that. So I think that the major part is that, when it gets down to tech systems, people within the ecosystem really sort of understand this trend and do not really get surprised about it, because there's a lot of exits, there's a lot of mergers, lots of acquisitions that really happens over the time. And so at the point where you're finding now that there's a new employer that's coming in, you should definitely know that there could be changes. And again, if you're looking at someone as radical as Elon, you should definitely come in. If somebody's acquiring a company and the very first week, he's basically taking out almost half of the jobs of people, how do you do even critical analysis of some of the roles and to be sure that these roles are really not necessarily possible to get some gains for the company? That should tell you he had done a lot of his homework. He brings in trusted engineers from Tesla to basically sit behind the pieces at Twitter. So he had all and everything planned out. And so for him as a business, he's just looking at how basically he can roll in, make the profit, and also just get it attractive. For the employees, generally, there are always ways to address some of these grievances. And I'm sure that if they are not happy, they will definitely find a way to get to the courts and demand some justice for that.
Well, the BBC reporting one staff member saying it's very insulting, the entire thing, from the mail to the lack of next steps to the tone of the letter. I'm wondering if the workers here have a case. I know in other countries there are plans to sue Twitter. How do you see this play out for the staff? This is Africa. And then the next thing is, what does this mean for the future of Twitter in Africa? Does it really impact the operations here on the continent because they've sacked people from their Ghana office?
So I don't think so. Twitter had already been operating and had some level of success with the numbers from Africans. So the office generally was just doing more of assistance and support. And so it might not necessarily impact. And again, the vision of the buyer, Elon, definitely goes way beyond just African. So it's looking at solutions where it's really looking at how it's going to be a competitor to WeChat, which is basically a more successful application in China, and looking at replicating a lot of its models with Twitter. And so I don't think that it would really have a lot of impact. But again, like I said, I wouldn't blame Twitter for such language, especially because if you look at the language which was used for Africans and the language which was used for employees outside Africa, you'd realize that there's some quite differences. There are some severance packages that are being thrown out to the employees that are out there. But with Africans, there's so much silence on anything that they could just be getting in terms of their termination with Twitter. That comes to me as a part where our leaders here and our policymakers definitely are not putting their legs in the right direction. And so we're looking at Twitter today, but there are quite a number of multinational companies that are in our country, Uber and the likes, quite a number of multinational companies that are here. I mean, what's the policy in terms of protecting the labor force that they are picking in? That should be one of the things that we should be discussing and looking at. So it might just be Twitter today because it's just based on few people fired from there. But what if the mass action class comes to, let's say, Uber or Bolt or any of the competitor applications that are coming in as international applications? And some of those ones are the policies that I'm looking forward to having local discussions to how we're going to protect people. There's been a lot of cry with some of the applications that are being run here, and let's say the users of these applications have raised a number of concerns where you don't have government or any policy maker making comments or talking about it deliberately. And so I think that relatively the tone and language, that disrespect and everything that comes in is only because we don't have the rules and we don't have the policies guiding our labor forces when it gets down to the internet sector.
And just a bit of a footnote, employment law in Ghana requires at least 3 months notice of termination. It also demands redundancy pay, which is to be negotiated between the organization, the employer, or trade union. So I mean, lots to explore in the coming days. Thank you so much, Henry Kobler, Lead Eyes of Africa, for your perspective this afternoon. And that's the marketplace. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. The day's latest, including the latest inflation figures on that website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwal. Thanks for watching. We'll be back same time tomorrow.